Hi everyone, it's Alicia Strager from Forte Fitness. It is Monday morning, April 2nd, 2012, and it is such a gorgeous day outside that I really wanted to film this video outside today. We are starting a new feature on our blog called Refocus Monday, fortefitness.com, and every week I'm going to talk about something new that you can focus on for that week and try to improve on in your life. So the whole goal is by the end of the year, by the end of 2012, we'll have focused on a new thing every week and hopefully have made some big changes in your lifestyle. Today, I want to talk about protein intake, and this is a question I get all the time from my clients and from my boot campers about how much protein you should actually be getting in your diet. And the truth is, that number is going to vary from person to person, and there's a million different recommendations out there about how much protein you should be getting in your diet. So the RDA says that you should be getting between 10 and 35% of your daily caloric intake in protein. So what that means is 10 to 35% of everything that you're eating should be some sort of a protein. Now, how do you figure out how many calories you should be eating every day? And that's a question in itself. So what we like to follow is the BMR, which is basal metabolic rate, and that is the amount of calories that everybody needs, which is different for every person, in order to just survive, just to function, just to have your body perform all of the metabolic functions that it does throughout the day. So there's a calculation, and I'm going to put a link below this video so that you can just plug in simple numbers and get it, so you don't have to go through this entire formula. But basically, this is the formula for women, and it's a whole set of numbers. It's going to require you to know what your weight is, what your height in inches, and how old you are. So everybody knows those numbers. So you plug this into the formula, and I'll have the link below, and you're going to get your BMR. And so that number is just your number that you're going to need to survive. Now, you're going to have your active metabolic rate, which is you're going to be moving around. You don't just sit like this all day behind your desk. Well, some of us do. Some people do. So it's important to move around throughout the day, to eat during the day. You want to make sure that you're getting your exercise in. So to get your actual number of calories that you are going to be expending throughout the day, you're going to need your AMR. So depending on your activity level, you're going to multiply your BMR times one of these four numbers. So if you're sedentary, you're going to multiply it by 1.2. If you're lightly active, you're going to multiply it by 1.375. If you're moderately active, and that's the one that I used, you're going to multiply it by 1.55. And then if you're very active, you're going to multiply it by 1.725. And that is going to get you your total calorie expenditure for the entire day. So if you wanted to maintain your weight and stay the exact same weight, that would be the number that you use for your daily caloric intake. So for me, I just put it in the calculation really fast, and I used my numbers for my weight, my height, and my age. And my number, I multiplied that by the moderately active multiplier, and it came out to 2195. So that would be the amount of calories that I need to consume every day in order to stay the exact same weight. If you do want to lose some weight, I would recommend starting to decrease your caloric intake by 300 to 500 calories. The sun is getting bright. So I put that in the calculation. I like to try to stick with the zone recommendations for right around 30% protein. 10 to 35%, remember, is the recommendations from the RDA. But I like to stick personally because I do a lot of strength training with right around 30%, 20 to 30%. So what I did was I took my daily caloric intake, which was 2195, and I multiplied that by 30%. So I got 658 calories that needed to be consumed as a form of protein. So what that means is, since you eat around 6 times a day, or I try to eat at least 6 times a day, that's about 27 grams of protein per meal. How I got 27 from 164, or actually 658 calories, there are 4 calories in 1 gram of protein. So if I'm going to be eating 658 calories, I divide it by 4, and then I get my 164 grams of protein. So that's how you figure that out. And just to give you an idea, at 27 grams of protein, that's about 4 ounces of chicken, give or take, tiny bit less than 4 ounces. So that number at 164 grams, that's actually right at 30%. I usually try to consume around 120 to 150, 160 grams of protein per day. So you don't have to consume that much. Remember, the RDA says 10 to 35%. I like to keep it right around 30, 25 to 30% if possible. So you can use the formula below. I put a link to a website where you can actually calculate your BMR, and then you're going to have to multiply it by your active metabolic rate, which is right here. So you can freeze that frame and use it for later. Good sources of protein. You want to make sure that you're having complete sources of protein. I know I have some vegetarians and some vegans on my list, which is fine, but you have to really make sure that you're pairing your proteins up correctly. You have complete proteins, and then you have incomplete proteins. So animal sources of proteins, your meats, your dairy, that is all a complete source of protein. It has all of the amino acids in it that your body can use to synthesize protein in your body. Vegetarian sources of protein, like your beans, and you're going to have to pair those up with other incomplete sources of protein to make a complete protein in your body. So it's really important that you're matching those up correctly, and we'll actually do another segment on the proper pairings of proteins later on and get more into detail with that. But that should give you a good start. So you can put your age, your height, and your weight into the formula below, get your caloric expenditure, multiply it by your active metabolic rate, and that should give you a pretty good idea of how many calories you should be taking in a day. Multiply that by anywhere between 10 and 35%, and you'll have your protein intake for the day. So I hope that helped. A good place to start is maybe around 20 to 25% protein, somewhere right in the middle, and that should give you a pretty good idea of where you're at for protein intake. So if you have any questions, please leave a comment on the blog below. I hope you enjoyed our very first Refocus Monday, and I look forward to hearing your comments. Have a great day.